Bazaar.
Hello, everyone. Firstly, thank you so much for taking your time and doing this podcast with us. We hope to get a lot of meaningful insights from all of you here. Slow Textiles, in association with the Young Bazaar, brings you the Roundtable on Color Ashram Foundation Natural Color Festival. And as part of the series that we've been doing with them, today we will discuss the production challenges of sustainability and natural dyed textiles. Sure. So let's cover everyone's introduction then.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Myself, Kesav Sharma. I am a textile professional. And after working in the industry for about 36 years, I back to my roots in Uttarakhand. And during the assignment with the Directorate of Industries, Uttarakhand government, I come across the places where I have been brought up earlier. And then I come across to that I should do something for the people who are having very limited resources for their livelihood in the rural hill area. So I come across one of the past fiber, which has some unique properties, and got into it. Then at the age when people looking for the retirement, I have started my own startup, and that is called the fiber called, we name it Himgra. It is of the fiber called Himgra, and that's about myself.
Sandeshji, maybe if you can introduce yourself and the company that you're working with.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Sandesh Saxena. I am a textile technocrat with about 30 years of experience in yarn and fiber industry. Currently, for last 2.5 3 years, I've been associated with Gintrest, where we are developing sustainable biofibers for sustainable apparels. We have deep dived into an enzymatic process, which has been used to derive fibers from bast fibers like banana, hemp, jute, and we are continuing our journey in this sector. At the same time, we are also looking at converting agrobiomass into MMCF, and that is at pilot stage as of now. So we are dedicatedly working on offering alternate to cotton in a big way in the coming years.
Thank you. Yawar, sir.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Yawar Ali Shah. I happen to be the co-founder and CEO of natural dyes manufacturing company AMA Herbal Laboratories Private Limited. We started in 1996 at a time when the people were just talking about azo-free as the safe product. Not many people were aware of natural dyes, and industrialization of natural dyes was definitely out of question. Our company, because we dedicate to the R&D, we established the process of dyeing on big machines, that is modern machines. And today we are exporting to all the established countries and even the big corporates, and we are supplying them for many years. We have been able to take it to the masses where it can be scaled up at a commercial production. We face challenges in this area, like how to identify the dye stuffs. So we further work on the development of the identification of dye stuffs. We developed it with IIT Kanpur and took it to the ISI standard with BIS, and then we took it to the ISO standards, where I'm leading as a group leader to the ISO, and 5 ISO standards for natural dyes are being published, and 2 more are in process. So I'm representing India in ISO meetings for the last 7 years in 2016. And regarding the natural dyes, we constantly keep working towards upgradation of the processes and the manufacturing processes of natural dyes and the processing of textile as a dyeing, so that we can always keep ourselves updated with the latest technology and serve the people for the sustainable for the attainability of the sustainable textile with natural dyes.
Thank you, sir. And Swami, sir.
Yeah, good morning. I was in Textiles Committee, Ministry of Textiles for 4 decades, and focusing more on this system implementation like ISO 9000, 14000, and SA 8000, and also in the cluster development, particularly for the genes clusters and the type of things. Subsequently, when that Niti Atal Innovation Mission has started, and we applied and we got AIC, Nifty Incubation Center for sector specific, particularly for textiles and apparels in 2017. And our main focus is on sustainable textiles and also the natural dye. So we have special machines knitting machines particularly, and a small facility for extractions of dyes. And also we have here a consortium for natural dyes where we support innovators through funding and also the market access and other things. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you everyone for your introduction. I think it's great to see such a diverse panel, everyone with a lot of achievements, and still everyone trying to change the envelope or push the envelope. The idea of the session is that anyone who is interested in or looking at sustainable fashion or textiles, they should be able to understand why they should look at this space, what is the importance, why one should look at sustainable textiles. Second, what are the challenges that one faces with your experience and how can they overcome them? Right. So it would be great if we can, share our insights or actionable insights in a very crisp manner. So let's start with an opening thought. What are some of the primary production challenges that one faces in adopting sustainable practices as also transitioning to naturally dyed textiles? Maybe we can have Yavor sir start first.
As far as the manufacturing of natural dyes are concerned, it was a big challenge, no doubt. Because first of all, every natural dye has a complex structure. They are not just having the color giving component. We can name any, for example, if we talk of the most popular ones like pomegranate fruit rind, maybe the flavonoids are the color giving components, or the punican is the main indicating color giving component. But how to get the maximum of it is something which is a challenge. So we as an industry were looking for somebody to guide us when we started, but there was unfortunately no guidance available. So we had to set all parameters by our own. So every product, every ingredient has a different parameters at which it is extracted for the best yield. And after the best yield is achieved, then you have to standardize it. So standardization of natural product is another challenge which typically the manufacturing industry faces. Because when a natural product is manufactured, you are not sure of what is there as an input, because the yield from batch to batch or from lot to lot will always vary. Then standardization was a challenge, so we find out a way, and the solution was something which was very typical. I might be able to give you in a minute, but we took years to really get into this. The solution is not to supply the best product that you manufacture and keep it for the standardization of our lower batches. So that's how we mitigated it, and now we are able to supply and standardize product. Then it came to the supplies of raw material, which was a challenge, that how to get a supplies, because the regular supplies of a natural dye raw material was a challenge, and it still is a challenge with some industry. But as AMA, we are focused only on those ingredients which are available in abundance. We are focused only on them which are reasonably priced so that people can buy them. And also on the fastness, yeah, still we have certain issues, but we have been able to mitigate that as well quite a lot. So, and the supply chain was managed with the 2-bin system or 3-bin system. Like the supplier will collect at the season, he will keep a 1 bin and 1 bin with us, and the 3rd bin is with the production. So it was all planned at the for different products, different year or different time of the year is there because it depends upon the cultivation time. So that all was required, but we have been able to mitigate. So this was about the production and the challenges that we faced. Then it came to the processing. Traditionally, the naturalized processing was happening like 2 to 3 days. It used to take to dye one particular shade. That was not possible to be scaled up as a commercialized product to the modern machine. Obviously, nobody will invest that much of a time. Then we had to reduce it. Now we are successful in doing it in 5 to 6 hours, which was a big success. And then apart from that, the reproducibility of the color was another challenge. So with the traditional methods of modernting and all those things, we were facing those problems because it's a double layering system, and there we had an issue. So we mitigated that also. We developed a specific range of auxiliaries, which is used for in dyeing of natural dyes. And then not only that, we further made natural dyes more eco-friendly, more sustainable by eliminating the heat from the processing. So today our process of dyeing is without any temperature. So we are doing it at room temperature, which makes it further eco-friendly in terms of carbon footprint creation and the cost also. So there has been so many challenges. Still we face challenge. The biggest challenge that we face, I think all of us, the eminent panel will be agreeing to this. The challenge is that whatever we are producing as sustainability, world is not approaching us because we are having the best product, because we are having the most beautiful product. And they are not approaching us because we have the most cheap product, but they are approaching us because we are the most sustainable people, and they are looking for sustainability. But when they start comparing this with sustainability, they forget and they compare it with the existing product, and the whole guidelines is the same as it is of the reactive dye product or of the product which are not sustainable. And as a the fact of the matter is that over a period of, like, if we say last 50 years, all researches are made towards performance, to increase the performance. Not as much attempts are made to make a performance with sustainability. And that's the challenge that we as a company, all those people who are struggling with this are facing. So we have to research by our own. We will take our own time in researching and giving them the quality product as they want it to be. It's improving, but still we have challenge. So biggest problem is that they compare us with the available synthetic dyes, with the fibers that are available. So all these things are the challenges. But it has been mitigated to a certain extent. Industry has started accepting, and the price is also one of the major factor, which is price. At this time, when the textile world is very, very low, people are not interested in investing in a niche product. And unfortunate part is that only accepting a few people. Up till this date, natural dye has only been taken or accepted by the areas which are niche, not in the regular product. So when you are just into the niche area, whenever you have a problem, you remove that, because your pyramid, if you go to the bottom of the pyramid, that is required to be taken care as we see consumables. So these are the challenges that natural dyes or the industry which is sustainable is still facing. That's my take. I
That's
hope it was.
very well put, sir.
Thank you so much.
Sandeshji, what are your thoughts on the current production challenges?
Yeah, I would agree to most of the points that the panelists has just shared with you. Traditionally, all the systems have been skewed towards cotton. So the benchmarking, the availability of the technology, the machinery setup, and the mindset of the industry works based on the cotton parameters, cotton technicals, and cotton acceptance of even the finished fabric appearance and everything. When we started, we have built all the things on custom scale, finished block by block. There was no standard equipments available to even extract the machineries. These fibers, when we talk about it, the agriculture biomass availability is there in abundance, but there is no aggregator available to supply this on regular basis. Fortunately for us, we have been able to break that code, and that is why we have been doing that in a big way, at least in the banana fiber category. In other categories, in the other fibers which we are trying to make a dent, we still face the aggregation problem to a big extent. Uh, Apart from that, the technology, as I mentioned, the spinning technology of these fibers, which are a bit coarse, has to be adapted. We are trying to our best to develop these systems which are in line with the cotton spinning systems. But that challenges remain, and not every spinner is ready to take up that kind of boost. And there are very few people who really adapt to it. But even saying that, a lot of people have understood the reasons why people have to move from the traditional fibers to these kind of natural fibers, and we cannot keep on innovating and moving around in circles with the petroleum derivatives. So the biodegradability is one of the key factors which comes into the adaptation when we look at these natural fibers. And polyester derivatives, right, price premiums, and the price premiums against cotton for these fibers is 2x to 3x. That again is a deterrent. But with brands focusing on long-term basis for SDG 2030 goals, the adoption is taking place slowly, and certainly is taking its time. But yeah, we are moving in that direction. When we started, we were looking at capacities to break even at about 5 tons per day in our fiber section. We are still not reached that. We initially planned to reach in that in about 2.5 years. Probably now we have revised these targets to about 3 to 5 years scenario. And yeah, so the journey is interesting, but it's not moving at the pace that's required. And these cyclic conditions in the industry do not really help it, because as soon as there's a downturn, people hold back. And that really is the key factor which is hurting us. Technology-wise, there are movements, especially if we talk about hemp fiber. There are big industries and big manufacturers who are now improvising and offering technologies for extraction, for degumming and everything. But still, yeah, that's still at a premium. And to bring down the prices and to get into a mass market kind of thing, are still, I think, about 10 years away on these fibers when we talk about it. But it's an interesting space to be in, and probably this is the future for next 10-15 years to be in.
Great, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your views. Swami, sir, do you have any additional points to add on the current production challenges?
Yeah, if you see the Tirupur clusters and Karur clusters, their focus is more on sustainable textiles. Even in Europe, they need a climate tag where these all the biodegradability product have really more attractive thing. The challenge is that the buyer, first of all, they need to have bulk quantity, and also having this all infrastructure available in Tirupur, like CETP and all plant here. It's quite possible to improve in this aspect. And here, often related to all these three challenges. One is that environmental challenges. So in this case, when we wanted to scale up, and it's a huge requirement of land and also the biodiversity take place. And here, most of these natural dyes, they have been doing an extractions and they use within 2 or 3 days. So and now we wanted to make that as in a powder form. Already Mr. Yavar Ali also has come and contributed a lot here. And in that aspect, we have made a small facility for extractions of dyes, and the buyers from European countries really appreciated, and they have also tried that type of dyes and other thing. And for making this one processing, we use that existing facility, like soft floor dyeing and other things. The people wanted to have a small laboratory model, and we set up some 5 kg machine so that they can bring the raw material here in our laboratory and get the dye steps and do dyeing and also the testing and other things. You see, in that way, we are able to support this consortium. And again, a lot of innovations also take place, like this bacteria based dyes, and these type of innovations already the people are in line. I think it just started the momentum of attracting these natural dyes, particularly for sustainability and also for ESG reporting by MSMEs.
Right. Thank you, sir, for sharing your views. Keshav, sir.
Yeah. So if we call challenges, we call it startup routes, sometimes sour, sometimes sweet. And it starts from the beginning itself, finding it, then telling the women how to find it, how to segregate it, how to get it, and often the mixing of different type of grasses into it. That then biggest to make it suitable to making yarn in the conventional machine. The first thing we make it clear that the yarn making should be in the conventional machinery setup. So people did not to change up the whole system. If it is like that, nobody is going to adopt it. So it's a basic processing of the grass to make it suitable for making the yarn. And the length of the fiber is too high. It is about 30 centimeter to 45 centimeters. And entanglement and process it to make it suitable. And then being a professional into startup or the business itself is a challenge. Those who work in the industry. But it got opportunity also, a wide network of people who are kind enough for which you are work. And that's the opportunity we have. And one good thing that we have on our mentor Birla Cellulose as our mentor by the Fashion for Goods when we are one of the innovators at their Southeast Innovation Program. So at least in the initial hiccups, we sorted out with the help of the Textile Research Center at the Birla cellulose. And then again it comes out when we go to scale up, because pilots are okay, selling, and I have to say that I have visited more than 30 mills, textile mills, all over country to get the people who can support us in making the yarn. But with some modification, with some convincing, and having the performances at the end, and the opportunity people see in the fiber, that we got 2 mills who are ready to make it, the yarn on the conventional machines, and it is worsted also, and cotton system also. Because length of the fiber is like that, it is suitable for the worsted system as well as the cotton system. And mills are working on that. And the challenge that mentioned earlier also, the pilots, for which no big mills are taking it. And because we have support, we have patience, or do or die to do it anyhow, we got into it and make the yarn, which are now every mills, you say Irvine, starting from Irvine to the Wellispan, we have more than 30 mills are working on it. But again, the challenge is the scale up now. The cost, everyone said that cost is high. And whenever going into the industry, the challenge that, oh, it's grass, why it is so costly? It's free, available in the forest. Yes, sir. But we use the ethical word in our. So the ladies who are having 5 kgs grass on their head, moving to the motorable routes, where we can't think of moving ourselves only in the park, at least it deserves a basic minimum. And that's our one principle. We have to pay them at least 1,000 rupees per day. So that is the cost. And when we say 5 kg, we get the fiber about 1 or 1.5 kg. So it is the cost. So the convincing of the people is little difficult, but someone are caring for it, people. And the other challenge is how we are looking for the cutting the cost in process cost, either transportation cost or processing cost, to bring it down at par, at least with the acceptable to the industry. And volume is low, as Mr. Sandesh told, that mass scale is still difficult, but it's top to bottom approach. Like Arvind is doing for some small volume for their Pantone. Yeah. So the scope is there, and luxury market also expanding. So it's luxury to common. And when the scope is there, it's easy to scale up. That's my take.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your insights. So my next question is from Swami, sir. Sir, if you could tell us about some of your successes in using and creating natural dyes and textiles with banana fibers, maybe from incubation to exports.
Yeah. So initially we tried for this banana fiber with 30% banana, 70% cotton with process. But subsequently we need to improve particularly the pilling effect, which we had a problem. And after making a lot of trials with the Center of Excellence for Technical Textiles and other people, and we were able to develop this 60% banana, 40% cotton. There was no competitor at all. So we wanted to add value for the product. For that, we have developed some of the natural dyes in our laboratory, and also the product we selected, this biodegradable shoe upper, where most of the machines are used for a collar, and we have a special machine for making a shoe upper. And the shoe upper have, with the natural dyes, it becomes a biodegradable shoe upper, and we just approached as a part of a go-to-market strategy, and the market access we have given to the top retailers, The moment they heard this about the product, so immediately they came and they are supported, and the price was not at all a problem for them. And subsequently, we contacted the machinery manufacturers also, because the incubation that incubator has to be supported for the manufacturing use production, and more than 40-50 machines have been installed, particularly for making the banana yarn into the fabric. And another thing, because most of these buyers, they would like to have these, biodegradable product in the banana, where they wanted to have the natural dyes also in printing. And now for that, we have given an alternative product where we have this jacquard knitting machine. And using these natural dyes, and the flowers they could design in such a way, it simulates the printing effect, particularly natural dyes. It really attracted the buyers. So here we did not have any the cost problem and other things. And as our Ali said, this technical problem like color fastness and other things, we have a different approach. Maybe in subsequent your questions, we will put that answers. Thank you.
Sure. So let's talk about that. Yawar sir, the next question is then for you. Color fastness is considered a major issue with natural dyes. So what are some of the difficulties, that you have faced in the manufacture of natural dyes and the use of such dyes? And if you could share some interesting experiences that you've had over, the last few years that you've been doing this.
Thank you so much for the question. First of all, as I said, that not much researches has happened considering just the sustainable development and commercialized product. If you see natural dyes, so the researches were happening and our forefathers were doing when it was in practices before 1856. There was no dye, there was no chemical dye available to the world. Only natural dyes were used and only natural dyes were available. If you see products from that time which are made and they are still in museums, all the colors are lasting, there is no problem. And if they're lasting after hundreds of years, thousands of years, that means color fastness was not an issue with natural dye. And why it was not there? Because natural dye has three sources. One is from the vegetable, one is from the mineral, and one is from the animal. So the ones which are with the mineral, it has to go in combination of that to achieve the fastness. That was the traditional method of dyeing. We had been using, like people have been using products like aluminum sulfate, like copper sulfate, like potassium dichromate, tin sulfates, and stuff like that, which are now banned as a heavy amines. So the biggest challenge is that we cannot use them because now they are said to be heavy amines and we cannot use them at all. So the technology of natural dyes to achieve full fastnesses are still available if we have them, but we are not allowed to use them as much as we can. Because in the fixation area, if you go technically more into deep, natural dyes are anionic in nature and cotton is also anionic. It doesn't have affinity at all. So you have to create this affinity. The first challenge is that. So either you can do it by catenizing that, or you can do it by doing some sort of a pre-treatment which increases the affinity, and that was that mordant which was doing earlier. So when you do the mordant, so basically the first that mordant fixes with the fiber, and then the dye fixes with the mordant. So that was like double covalent bonding that was happening, and this double covalent bonding was increasing the fastness to a very high level. Now in the commercial dyeing machines, when we have to run, we face challenges because we cannot have that much of an effluent. So here the challenges are not just to avoid the mordants, but also to have like repeatability of the shades. When you are using a mordant and it's not fixed, and they were also raw in nature, like there were no standardization of supply of any minerals, like hara kashish as they call to the ferrous sulfate, or maybe the nila kashish as they call it to the copper sulfate. So there were no such standardized forms available. They were just grinded minerals which were giving these colors. So those are not fixed as proper as they are supposed to be all the time. And as a result, the dye that we do as a next step is not as standardized as we expect it to be. So in order to do that, we established a process where we started doing it with the catenization as the first step. And there we are successful. And some dyes which are like tannin based, they are exhibiting good fastness ratings. There is no problem. Like we have been able to achieve fastness up to 3 to 4, even 4 to 5 also in some of the cases, and they are acceptable to the market. There is no problem about it. But there are some dyes which are like we are doing greens and yellows, because all the yellows which are from flowers are difficult to be fixed on. And all the greens, like we have a green which is a specialized product to us, is from chlorophyll, like chlorophyll which is available into the leaves. That is also poor in fastness. Apart from that, most of the dyes we are able to fix and they are good. And as far as this particular question, like the interesting fact is that we always tell industry that, hey, we have two areas of dyes. One dye is a robust dye. It will be having no fastness issues. You can use them. And this is an area which is a fancy colors, but they don't have a good fastness. But the interesting is they also always pick the fancy colors and they always say you don't have a good fastness. So I don't know how to mitigate that. Because something what we are trying to pitch them, that kindly use them, they say, yeah, they are good colors, but I need these bright colors. And then they say, okay, if you have a blue color, why can't you mix it with the other dyes? But our challenge is blue is indigo, and that's a wet category of dye. Its dyeing process is different, and the dyeing process of other dyes is different. They cannot be mixed in the same bath. So that also we have a challenge. So these are the few things about the fastness. The fastness we have been able to achieve reasonable. There is no doubt about that. And that's how we have been able to commercialize. Many big brands are using. But as I said, they're using in the niche area. There are special taggings also that they have been adopted and have been adopted. And just to share with you, the fastness criteria is like if we see in the ISO standards of fastness, I think Mr. Pulaswamy must be well aware of it. There are two methods which are defined. One is A1M and one is A2S. So in the A2S series, we have to use sodium perborate, and which is not good for the natural dyes. Whereas in A1M, if we use, it's not like you need to use sodium perborate. So in the recent meeting of ISO, which was in Korea last month, I represented and I had my BIS team with me. I proposed to have different fastness standards for natural dyes, and they accepted. They said we cannot have a separate, but we can modify the current one. So in the current one, the only thing we have to write it as a tag that only use A1M, don't use A2S. That is the only amendment required. So we are working on to it. Once we succeed, so the wash fastness challenge will be achieved. But the biggest is in the light fastness. So only few dyes fits to the light fastness, not all the dyes fits to the light fastness. And actually light fastness is also not a challenge, to be honest. The problem with the natural dyes is, as I said in the beginning, that there are many color giving components available in the same dye. Let's talk about madder, which is also a very popular dye, and I am sure Mr. Pulaswamy is well aware of the fact. It has got 5 color giving component. It has got pursuedin, pseudoporphyrin, purpurine, tannins, and mangistin, and alizarin also. So typically, we are concerned with mangistin and alizarin for the red colors, whereas the purpurine and pseudoporphyrin are oranges and yellowish, respectively. So these yellows and oranges are poor in light fastness, whereas alizarin and mangistin are good in light fastness. So over a period of time, the color changes, but it actually changes its tone. It doesn't go down. I would like to share you a very interesting incident, as you said about interesting incidents, so just strike my mind. I was working with the carpet industry long back when we started with the Bhadoi Mirzapur, which is very near from Lucknow, where we are stationed. And we sold good quantities of natural dye. At that time, selling it like 100 kg was a big thing. We sold to one industry called Bholanath International. They continuously buy it for about 6 months, because the carpet weaving takes about 5 to 6 months when you're doing hand knotted carpet. When it came to washing, I got a call that tumhare to sare rang pule ja rahe hain. Like I'm not getting anything, like nothing is surviving. It's all washing off. Please come and see. So I went to see the carpets, and there I see that they're using bleach, a very heavy bleach, 14-degree total, like, and very, very high, and caustic, sulfuric acid, and acetic acid with the fixation. So, and it was like first in the bleach, second is sulfuric acid, third is a caustic, and fourth is acetic acid. So they're just changing the pH all the time. They want to open up the pile. So I told them, sir, this is not eco-friendly. Why are you using it? And if you're doing an eco-friendly production with natural dye, why are you using this? You should be using some other kind of a washes. I can recommend you some so that you don't use these things. And so we can't do anything about it. We need a product which is shining. We need shining on the carpet. It should reflect like a mirror. I said, okay, that's your buyer wants. So we struggled about it. We develop a process that's a different story. I don't want to go in those details. We fit our product to even that process. Then I happened to meet Mr. Bruce Kitney, who happened to be his buyer in US. I asked Mr. Bruce that I'm facing a problem. Can you clarify this and can you help me with my thought process? He said, what happened? I said, to my knowledge, if you're using natural dyes, you're using a product because you're using natural dye because it's sustainable. And when it's eco-friendly, and when you're using such product, why are you using bleach, caustic, sulfuric acid, all these things? This is not eco-friendly. So whole club is not eco-friendly. He said, who told you that we use natural dye because it's eco-friendly? I said, that's what my learning is, because why will you pay extra? He said, no, Mr. Yawar, I would like to tell you certain facts. The first fact is that we have been using natural dye for many years. I'm buying natural dyed carpet from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Turkey, India, and China, and also. He said, carpet is a product that lasts for 10 year, 15 year, 20 year, 50 year also. And it has been washed many a time, but it lasts. And all the time it is exposed to sun. Over a period of time, I have experienced that both colors which are dyed with synthetic dye and with the natural dye changes over a period of time. But there is a difference in the kind of changes that they receive. The chemical color fades, whereas natural color becomes richer. I said, sir, what does that mean? He said, red becomes more red, green becomes more grayish green, blue becomes like brighter blue, because they're all natural. And as I mentioned, they have many other color giving components which evaporates, which goes off with the sun, and only the main color remains. So the change in the light fastness happens in natural dye, but it's changed because when you compare on a gray scale, just compare, like this is 3 to 4, this is 4 to 5, and something like that. There's nothing else that you do. So typically natural dyes, the tragedy of natural dye and all the fibers, whatever, is that we have the set standards of synthetic products and we are compared with that. If we can establish something, that's what we are struggling. I'm taking it to BIS, I'm taking it to ISO. We are further trying to build up certain stories. It's not stories like the facts about it, so that the people should be able to see it with a different eye. There should be different gauging meters. There should be different methods of identifying what is fact. Because if I'm using this blue jacket, this is dyed with natural indigo, it's a Levi's product. So if it is not changing the way it was changing with synthetic, but it's changing the way it's changing with natural, who gives you a right to reject it? You did not choose natural dye because they were not changing. You choose natural dye because they were the most sustainable. So if world has to survive with sustainability, and textile is one of the challenges that we have, we need to work on using the sustainability and making parameters that suit sustainability and educate people about it. Believe me, the audience, the people, the buyer, the consumer who's buying from the retail counters is looking for eco-friendly, sustainable products. But they are not having those tags which are satisfying them when they go to buy that. It doesn't clearly say that how much he is benefiting, because people are aware about global warming. People are aware about the challenges with the sustainability that the world is facing, and they are worried about for the next generations. But many times they want to do something for the world, but they don't know what to do. So the tag has to say that this is your responsibility to promote a sustainable product, and by doing this, you promote this much. And that's how the education will happen, and that's how the success will come. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much for sharing that example. I think that was a great story. I can tell you that in this series of podcasts that we're doing with Slow Textiles, we've discussed it time and again that it's one thing for us to believe that the world is not ready to pay a premium for sustainability, this and that. But within India, forget overseas, within India, there are so many large categories or segments where we've seen it happening. Look at beauty products. So, all the toiletries today, there are so many brands homegrown in India, which are making everything from your shampoos to conditioners to body washes and whatnots, which are full sulfate free, parabens free, and they're sold as very sustainable and skin friendly. So similarly, we've seen so many, like look at the food that we're eating today. There's so many brands now, promoting organic, whether it's your fruits and vegetables or packaged or processed food. And there's a large segment of consumers which are actually, willing to pay slightly extra to get those certain benefits. And what we do not probably understand as much is the effects of, not wanting to go sustainability. And imagine the change that can happen if, so for example, Microsoft for the longest time, their vision statement was one computer in everyone's home. And if we can ensure that everyone's wardrobe has just one piece of clothing that is sustainable, that in itself will increase the size of the industry.
Mr. Pratik, you're right by saying that, but just to share with you, AMA is not just into natural dye, we are also into organic cosmetics. So I have an insight of that industry would like to share if you allow, because this is a textile.
Sure. Yeah.
So as you mentioned about organic cosmetic, we are supplying, we are having our own brand as well, which we sell through doctors largely, because we are also manufacturer of 100% natural hair dye, which is world's first PPT-free hair color in the dark colors. And we are supplying to people like Alembic Pharmaceutical. We are supplying to people like Henkel of Germany. We are supplying to people like Sadhguru. This is like this Isha Foundation. And there are many other small, big players, national and international. But the fact of the matter is, if you see the pyramid of market, which is like this, everything is here on the top. Everything is here on the top at a niche. As you said, that people are ready to pay. Who are ready to pay? Who are able to pay?
Right.
Those who are able to pay, they are ready to pay. And those are limited in number. Yes, the cosmetic is having more say into it because this is more close to skin. Because in textile, if you see, textile chemical dyes are not harmful to the human when it is using, it is harmful to the processing houses when it is being processed, or to the manufacturing places where it is manufactured. But in cosmetic and food, as you mentioned, they are affecting the consumer directly. So there is a difference. And that is in his hand. And in the organic food and all, I tell you, there was a resistance in the earlier ages, when the earlier time when there was a difference in the prices. Right now, the situation is that with the efforts of the government, I appreciate that very, very much, and particularly this millet food and all the way they are promoted. The production has increased. And with the increase in production, the prices has come down. So the difference between the two is not as much as it used to be earlier. So it's reachable by the normal man. So in the process, they're able to buy more of a natural product and they can do. But in cosmetics, it's still costly. I know about the ingredient because if you're talking of certified organic ingredients to buy, there are many which we still used to import. And those imported chemicals are from Germany, from France, not from China at all. Because all these up countries are doing it. So when you use them, it's costly. Like I buy ingredients which are even 110,000, like 1,10,000 rupees kilo. So that's like quite a cost of the raw materials that we buy. So it's not easy. Organic cosmetic market is getting up. I tell you about this Reliance. They came. They said that we want to launch and they understand our reputation. So they came for the manufacturing. We had a great meeting. And then they placed the first order. Can you imagine the quantities? I said, sir, I was thinking I'm talking to Reliance. They don't believe in small, they believe in scaling up. Okay, then sir, we will do it, but we are first launching it online. So typically they understand that reaching to masses, they need a product that fits to every pocket. They need a product which is going in masses, and Indian masses market is in rural area. If you talk of Indian market, which is the biggest market of the world at this time, and everybody is focusing here. And the rural market will buy just what they need to buy. They are not going to buy something which is extra costly. So here, if we have to promote sustainable products, I give you example of organic cosmetic because you mentioned it, and I'm aware of the fact of the market. If you have to promote, number one, the testing parameters has to be really revived, and then it has to be educated. What is happening that all, I give you an example of H&M. I'm directly naming because it really happened. They selected some of our product at the time of pandemic. We had a detailed meeting. I think every day we were meeting them and we were investing 2-3 hours on a web meeting or stuff like that. At many places, the development happened. They liked the product. Everything went fine. Then in my product, which is chlorophyll, I mentioned the chlorophyll had some copper content into it. And with the extractable metal theory, they did this testing. And they said that you have a higher percentage of copper. I said, it's lipid in nature. I did not add anything. If you can confirm it's added, then I'm responsible. They said, no, we cannot allow that. I talked to that lady who was talking to me. I asked her, where is the problem? You want dye identification? I can confirm this is natural. Where is the problem? She said, sir, we understand everything, but the strategy is made at Stockholm's, at our headquarters. If our headquarter will give us an instruction that you can buy this, we can buy. So you need to talk to them. I said, kindly connect. So when we go to connect them, they have different wings. One is sustainable. My factory is approved by H&M. Just to share with you, they visited, they do whatever. Many brands have come and they have approved. So they come and they visit, they approve you. So once they have approved you, meaning your product, your facilities, your system of working is approved by them. So you see it's done, but it's not done. Then it goes to the commercial wing. They have different questions. So typically it's about the mindset. And the mindset has to be, I can give you more brands about the brands, more examples about the brand because it keep on happening every day. If you see, they have challenges, they are having budgets for everything. At this time when the world is struggling, the budgets of the textile world is squeezing. And when the budgets are squeezing, they're not ready to experiment. They're not able to experiment, rather, not ready to, not able to experiment. And in the process, their ability to buy something new reduces. That's exactly what is happening. There would have been, I can tell you, all these people must be aware that development wise, a lot of developments happening. They are always asking for the samples, not ready to pay for the samples. That is also different. They're always asking for the sample, but then where is the production?
So what you're saying is absolutely right, but I think anything new has a journey, right? So what you mentioned about the pyramid structure, I think that's a great way to put it. Typically, we've seen across sectors and industries, whenever a new journey starts, it typically starts at a very niche segment, right? So look at Tesla when they started EVs. There was nothing new about EVs. EVs have existed even in India with Reva, which is now acquired by Mahindra for many years. But what they did is this: they made the best product appealing to the top of the market, which is the cream of the market, and then slowly, after a few years, they got into a very mass market with the Model 3. Right? Similarly, जो आपने example H&M brands का दे रहे हो, look at the same cosmetics or food space. These new age products, which are more friendly, environmental friendly, skin friendly, or organics, whether it's food or cosmetics or bath products, they're not started by the legacy brands, right? There are new age brands which are coming in, focusing on a very niche segment, and then hoping slowly it will grow. And as it grows, the supply grows. As the supply grows, the economies of scale kicks in, and as that comes in, your price also impacts. Right? Look at automobiles. I remember when we were growing up, having a car with airbags was a luxury, right? Not only the let's say the luxury brands had that. Slowly with time, we've seen that today it's become mandatory for all cars to have airbags. So I think with any technology or any new product or feature, it takes time. The journey typically starts with addressing to a very niche segment, and that typically is started by a new brand only. I've rarely seen a use case where a legacy brand would have done this, and then slowly it kind of transforms further.
No, in fact, Pratik, if you look at it, here in India also, when we are talking about linens, linen has been here for ages. It's not something which started yesterday, but it's
Right.
only post-COVID. If you see, the real adoption of linen has come in. The Linen Club, which has been launched by Birla Group, it's 3 years
Yes.
old. Jayashree is a 50-year-old company. So the growing consumer middle class post-COVID is quite active and it's ready to pay if they get that kind of product. But we are probably stuck in the value chain and also with the brands where I think they have cautious budgets and all that, and they are still playing the sustainable game with on the fiber side with GRS certified polyesters and all that kind of stuff. So they have not really been taken up the challenge to cater to the customer. The customer demand is there. The customer is aware post-COVID, but probably in the value chain, we are still lost around because we are still coping up with what will be acceptable or not. We have not really addressed the consumer in the way. In India, there's a growing middle class. Linen shirts are not cheap and they are selling like hotcakes, even in not town A, but B and C class segments town also. They have stores opened up everywhere.
I completely agree with you. In fact, if you look at consumer data in India and overseas post-COVID, majority growth is happening in the premium segment, which
Yeah.
means that there is a high need for consumers also to premiumize everything. Unlike commodities where we always assume that India is a commodity market, price sensitive market. But look at the last 2 years, whether it's travel, whether it's eating outside dining, whether it's shopping, or most consumer spending today is actually preferring to spend a little extra but having that premium experience.
We will not come down to the bottom of the pyramid, but we are still probably at the middle of the pyramid also. Today, we are all stuck at the premium level at the top of the pyramid, like linens had stuck for out 30, 35 years. But now it's at the middle stage. And that is where we have to be. And that is where so you don't need to be at the bottom of the pyramid and mass product adaptation. That will never happen in India, probably. There's a big two Indias, as we call about every day. So, but still, the top India or the middle India is still big size to cater to.
Sure. Definitely. Even getting it to middle is a big success, sir. You're very right.
Exactly.
Right. So,
Yeah,
Sandesh, my next
the
question
same
is
thing.
for you. Yes, Keshav, sir. I think you were adding something.
Yeah. The same thing holds good for even kids wear also. In fact, we wanted to have some product innovations in kids wear. So they need to have, it is coming under the medical textiles category. And here again, for targeting a domestic and export market. So we had a plan of, first making this biodegradable non-conventional fiber into the using the charka system, because since we are focusing on cluster development, we wanted to give this project to the different packets, right? So in the solar charka system, when we make it, and we get very competitive yarn, and also we can use all these things, and also we developed some knitting machines, hand operated and pedal operated knitting machines, where you can convert that fabric suited for these kids wear, and small setup for the natural dyeing also. Since dyes supplies are there, and the only thing is we need to set up small thing, and taking into consideration the carbon credit and other things. And if we scale it up, and also there are a lot of support from CSR, particularly for this type of a project. That is one thing. The second thing is for this competitiveness of this thing. Already there are a lot of schemes are there in MSME, like this common facility center, where they give some 30 crores. So in that way, when we collaborate the people, like farmers and dyers and other people, and we can use this the government scheme and CFC scheme and also the CSR. So this way we will be able to compete and bring the product. It is so attractive, and there are a lot of demands is there from the, particularly for kids wear segment, where they don't give more importance for the color fastness and other type of things, because quite frequently they use that material. I think that project will be very successful.
Sure. I also look forward for that. Yeah.
Right. Sandesh, my next question is for you. Gencrest not just manufactures biofibers, but it has also, it also helps in the use of these fibers. So can you share some of the challenges or difficulties that you faced and how have you overcome them?
When we started with this banana fiber journey about 2.5 years back, the main focus area was to convert into fiber which would go in a blended spinning yarn without disturbing the existing processes, and convert into apparel segment. There has been traditionally, this banana fiber is nothing new in India. It has been there for ages. A lot of people have done a lot of work on that on handicraft basis. The saris are being spun in South, and all that kind of stuff has been there. So we typically started with this fiber. The denier and the lignin high content was the major issue with us. We solved it using our patented enzymatic process. And then we picked up segments where we could really make a dent out of it. Denim is one of the areas where we have got a huge success. We have been able to pitch these denims across the board with all Indian players. And initially, we were stuck with the rigid denims, and then the brands would rather look at the complete portfolio. So then we ventured into making a compact spun yarn, again to reduce the hairiness of this. And then the next stage was the CSY yarn. So we have been able to do the stretch yarns as well with this banana food blends. And that is why we have now been able to complete the portfolio of the rigid as well as stretched linens. So that has been one of the major successes that we have been able to achieve. At the same time, this year, with the linen prices going through the roof, and banana applications seems to be somewhere near the summer fabric range, which is something like linen. We have been trying to experimenting with a lot of linen mills and weavers to try and replace the weft at least with the banana yarns. At the same time, also, I am experimenting on one area is how to do a 100% banana yarn on wet spinning. So there are typical challenges there, but probably with the linen prices going up and the crop being failing, and again being the forecast for a couple of years not being very positive, probably we'll be having more opportunities and more time to get into that segment. At the same time, what I feel is the major challenges, again, as we put across is uh, when we talk about when we approach the brands, they talk about the parameters which we have to meet on fastness and on pilling and everything. They still have their old benchmarks skewed ever pro towards cotton. So, like if you go through the joint life program of Inditex, all the parameters which have been defined, they are all skewed towards either polyester or towards cotton. So, but slowly, yeah, that has to change, and we are trying our best to get into that segment. Uh, Even today, when we check a normal yarn parameter, everything what we do it on Worcester, it's all skewed towards the it's on capacitance basis, and then what results you get. Usually, it's a shock to a spinning mill to see a yarn with 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 IPI. But then they need to understand that the thing has been programmed and set to test only a cotton yarn. It's not programmed to test a typical banana or a hemp yarn per se. Uh, Also, there are challenges on the side when we see that we have to restrict ourselves on the production speed, which again built up the cost of the yarns. But yeah, slowly people with that kind of mindsets are appearing up, and mills which are old, which are typically having old setups, would rather take up these kind of bast fibers or natural fibers, which would rather complement them in their production and overcoming their cost structures also, because they would not be able to compete with the regular production in the cotton spinning mills, which are about 10 years or 15 years old. So we still have a lot of things to catch up. We are targeting to see if we can go finer uh, into that and probably cater to home textile segment. And that is one of the areas we are looking at. Upholstery and carpet segment is always there. We have not really entered that because we are keen on setting our foot firm hold on the apparel segment. So there has been interesting areas which we have covered, and there's a long way to go. Hemp is one of the next fibers that we have been experimenting with, and we are probably looking at doing hemp-rich blends in a long way, which is not there in India. Currently, all the hemp-rich yarn comes in from China typically. So that is one of the segments which we are exploring. And we are jointly working with the Birlas, specifically the TREDC, to establish the product line and also establish the product credentials out there. So yeah, this is how we are straight moving in a fashion where we can build up long-term blessings with our partners, and then tie up and build up the portfolio on a long-term basis, and cover everything that is possible with these kind of fibers. We probably cannot go into the market for the and challenge the finer segment, which is not our forte. But on the coarse pounds, the blends would be making an impact in the coming seasons.
Okay, sure. And Keshav sir, my next question is to you. So, Himgra fiber is something that you work with a lot. So tell us about the manufacturing difficulties you've had with that, the forward processes, how do you help customers get the right product, uh, technology support and collaboration with machine suppliers. I'm sure you know that would have been one area that you would have put in a lot of effort. and it's still a very limited market, I mean, for these kind of products. So what are the reasons and how do you overcome them?
Yeah, so good. So I start with not with the technology, first the availability. So whenever we talk about the mills like Arvind, Wellisman, Birla, or IKEA or everyone, what is the scalability? How much you give us? Even the person has not seen the yarn or the tried it in the mill, they ask for the availability. So addressing availability is one issue. Then making fiber on the conventional mill, second one, where we have worked hard and got the machines fabricated with our network. And the technology also under patent to making the fiber. And fortunately, that is the zero water usage technology. We are not using any water during the process, which is being used in other type of past fibers while processing it. And as I have to add the things which is earlier told, the market is still driven by the top of the pyramid. So if we see not the whole, if the per capita consumption of the people using the textiles are 10 times more than whatever used in the India, and they have capacity to pay, and but the things they are not paying for the things that we are not having the color fastness. Nobody is going to buy it. We have to do something to have the fastness. If a lady having a green dupatta on your white top goes outside in the rain, suddenly there. So they can't wear that the top is getting green. So we have to look into it and having some disclaimers or the precautions, whatever you are dyeing with the natural dyes. That is the main things we have to address, because we have tried this natural dyes with our yarn. And out of the 7 colors we have dyed with the natural dyes, one of the international buyers, brands, in the top 10 brands we have done for that. And they particularly asked that Sharma, what or my designer do with the gray yarn, do me some dyed yarn. So 6 colors are okay, we are having fastness within acceptable mark. Because if person is buying natural, is aware that there is some fastness issue or the variations. But it is rubbing fastness of the one color is very poor. And then the variations are there, consistencies are there. So we need to look into those areas if we really need to get to succeed in the natural dye. And the technologies part, challenges are that the no big one going to impress the small. That's a challenge always. It's a network, it's your convincing or the opportunities, how you convince the people. And the brand's response, if you say, it starts with the full value chain. Everyone from the first, your fiber run into the spinning, making yarn. Efficiency goes down, you will not touching your fiber. The first problem we are having when we started making yarn. Then go to marketing people, product development, or the purchase. The market, oh, nice, send me the yarn, we will try it. Fine, you will send, but send me free of cost. Okay, you are having crores of turnover and asking yarn for free. No, that is our policy. So, okay, then comes purchasing. Oh, you have 45 days credit period. So these are the challenges. And
I think, sir, everyone's smiling with FOC samples and credit policies.
That is ecosystem.
yeah, so that's everywhere. But we have our policy. We can't give for free. We can't give credit. We are slow, fine. We remain slow. But giving it our own time. Okay. So, and that pays rather than giving free all the times. It pays, and people are paying for that now. They are asking some, and one big good thing, one thing either say good or bad, small people doesn't asking for free. Small brands doesn't ask for free. The big one, those are having crores of turnover. Oh, this is our policy. So that's a good industry practices, and one has to take steps to change it the way it looks. If you want to able to change, fine. If you want to go with the that's fine. So these are the challenges basically, and Himgra nothing new, we call it. It's another type of fiber, having some propositions, and then convincing the marketing people when product is there, finally, and on the product when it comes out from the mill, running the weaving machines, and first time it fails, you're ready to accept it. Then again approach, again visit there, it works. When marketing, oh, it's fine, I can market it. Market is there. Then there comes all the challenges, the fruits that you are happy that, okay, things are now being marketed. So challenges are there, but ultimately challenge, its end. It's a bright line there. So we are happy with the challenges.
I think that's great, sir. In fact, I would like to add to what you last said. When I speak to a few of my friends who are also probably part of sustainability or trying to do something new, this usually comes up कि सामने potential buyer who's asking for FOC samples, credit period, this and that. And I've always seen that people who agree to that and people who don't agree to that, the second bucket is having better success because saying no to FOC samples or credit allows you to A, eliminate those buyers who are not really interested or serious about your product range. And B, it allows you to also kind of put in a narrative because we value our product. And if you value our product, if you feel this can add to your business line or your product line, then only you should go for it. And hence we ask you to pay.
It's like sustainability, that we are sustainable. When asking for the real to pay for it, then those who are really sustainable will pay for it.
Right. Okay. I think we've extended the time a lot. So what we can do is we can quickly jump into the fun section. And in the concluding remarks, I'm sure you must have had a lot of great points for the earlier questions. So maybe you can use some of those points in the concluding remark itself. So we'll skip those 5 questions now. Fun section and directly the concluding statement where you can add whatever great points you would like to add. Would that be fine?
Yeah,
So this way we can wrap it up at least in the next 10 minutes or so.
sure.
So thank you everyone for sharing your insights. Some really great, some meaningful insights, some great references in case studies. Let's jump onto a fun section quickly. If you could magically, somehow magically, just wave the wand and solve for one production problem that you see, which challenge would you solve for and why? Maybe we can start with Yawar, sir.
The cost.
Okay, great. I'm not even going to ask you why because it's pretty clear, but that's a great one. Sandesh sir, how about you?
It is batching cotton or polyester. All the fibers.
Okay, Keshav sir.
I am more sustainable to you. Why? That I will explain.
Okay,
The more not sustainable, more sustainable is the word.
okay. And Swami sir.
Scalability, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. We've got great mixed responses from all 4 of you. With that, we would like to conclude this session. Maybe we can request all of you one by one to add your concluding remarks, thoughts, or anything extra that we've not been able to cover so far as part of this. Sandesh sir, let's start with you this time.
Sustainability is something which is, I think, has to come from within. And probably post-COVID, most of us have woken up that we have this one earth and we need to take care of it. What we leave back or what we throw away today is going to bounce back to the next generation. We have been living it, probably our generation last 25, 30, 40 years has been taking up the things very lightly. We got into the cycle of consumerism, and now probably it's time to sit back and take a look back and start looking at things very differently. Uh, it's not that people don't want to do it. The number of choices were not there. Probably next 4 years, 5 years, we'll have real choices available, and then for it's all to the consumer to see and adapt and take it up for further. We at Gincrest are trying to make that kind of change with our fiber business, and we look forward to moving ahead with that kind of thing and giving alternates to customers. It's not only natural that is the way, but the biodiversity also needs to be taken care of. And with the keen biodiversity, because we have a huge population to feed, especially in India. So fiber business, textiles, roti, kapda, or makan. These are three essentials when we talk about it, and that is why textiles has a major role to play in what we do and how we shape this earth in next 15-20 years, and make the life holistic, and also make it more diversity, biodiversity and also make it more greener. That is what is, and probably we are here in that journey, which we have already started 3 years back.
Thank you so much, Sandesh sir. Keshav sir, maybe if you can add your concluding remarks.
Yeah, so textile being a very complex value chain itself, and if you stick to the one sector also only, it's very difficult to convince your end customer. And it's, in my opinion, the collaboration within the different stakeholders to make the end product, because ultimately customer needs end product, isn't interested for the fiber or the dye or the finishes. He needs a fiber, the end product, how it is beneficial to him, with different type of fibers, different type of dyes, or the different type of packaging presentations. And each chain during the segment in the value chain is how much sustainable or more sustainable. And in fact, sustainable itself is very complex issue, now being confused everyone, that polyester is also sustainable, the leather is also sustainable, and everybody has his viewpoint of that. So it's a time to say how much we are more sustainable, what aspects we are more sustainable, how much we are addressing the issues which are challenging the sustainability, under the sustainability. So addressing those issues that, okay, it is reducing global warming due to these reasons, not using the water or using the solar energy out of it. So this needs to be communicated to the end customer. I had a discussion with the people, students or the newcomers. Oh, sir, we are using sustainable fabrics. What is sustainable fabric? That is cotton. Still for them, cotton is more sustainable fabric. So the issues explaining sustainability in the manner how much it is sustainable, why it is sustainable, this needs to be communicated to the end customer. And then it is our also duty to train the incoming talent into it, where education institute can play a good role, big role. Even if they are good fabric, it's a natural fabric, more sustainable fabric, dyed with natural dyes. And during designing it, wasting 20%, 10% wastage. And the whole thing's lost. And one thing is still lacking is the end of cycle. What a person will do it when the garment is not usable. He doesn't like to use it. But that's things we have to see in total circularity. Okay, we produce it, we use it, and what we are doing after use. That we need to address all those things in complete manner. That's my take.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing it. Swami, sir.
Yeah, there's a booming circular economy and sustainability. More than 70% of the used products goes for the landfill. To tackle that issue, particularly this biodegradable raw material along with the natural dyes is one of the solution. And anticipating the constraints, the challenges in the export market is one of the things is traceability. So we need to imbibe some of the technology like blockchain and other things for again, this biodegradable product of all this fiber and also for natural dyes. That is very, very important, the traceability issue. And third thing is again, identifying the right product like our Saksanaji and Cassidy told about the identifying the right product where it will be able to compete well and also attract the customers. That is also one of the main things. And again, this cluster development activity where Indian market is a very big market where even the government is supporting in various ministry. And now this we have to take as a challenge and meeting the requirements of a different ministry. And again, this byproduct, what we are getting also supporting the natural dyes. For example, this SAP solution we get, when we use it, that comes a real support for the improving the fastness. And also when we that other material, we want to have this composite material also. It gives real business for the existing incubating. And here we also invited most of the dye manufacturers here and also the enzyme people. When you talk about this banana fiber and this arecanut fibers and other things, we need to eliminate these contamination like pectin and lignin and hemicellulose. These people are spending a lot of money on these enzymes. So we wanted to bring very fast effective enzymes so that we will be able to support this way. And again, as I told earlier, this scheme like common facility center we can utilize, and also the government support of making a mini cluster like in Tamil Nadu, where like 2 crores is given for the small factory setup and other things. And also the startups. In fact, in our incubation center, we support the startups by giving a grant of around 20 lakhs and 30 lakhs loan. These type of facilities should be used so that the incubating innovators will be very, very competitive. And also we need to focus more on R&D. As our Kasalji Sarmaji told about this education center, because these are future generations. We have been working on changing the syllabus so that these people can understand, do a practical thing in natural dyes, and they can understand about this biodegradable, particularly in sustainability, not like a greenwashing. So this all will help in future supporting this biodegradable product and also the natural dyes. Already the stalwarts are doing a lot of things, and it will really add value for these things. And thanks for your support, and it was an excellent panel discussion. It will be very useful for the participants. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And last but not the least, Yavar sir, your concluding thoughts.
Thank you so much, Pratikji. It's really a wonderful discussion, no doubt, and we would like to have a recording of it so that we can use it. In my takes, first of all, the government of India, if we talk of just India, has to work out a category as they have done for the technical textile, a special category for sustainable products and sustainable dyes and sustainable product approaches and promotions. A specific panel has to be made with people like we have in this panel, who have real knowledge of it, so that that particular panel and that particular focus can go on the various kind of researches and development that is required to be done in this area, the various kinds of marketing campaigns to educate the consumer which are required to be done in this area. And also there should be a collaborative approach that also was mentioned by that we all who are into the sustainable area, our approach is that we should strive to make our most to have the textile as fully sustainable. So let us come together. If your challenge is that your fiber is not dying with natural dye industry, let us talk to the natural dye industry who is specializing into it so that we can work on collaboratively to make the fastness happen. If we are having some problem that we are not able to dye a specific fiber like polyester or cotton blends, we should be in more collaborative approach so that we can understand each other's problems and we can sort it out with our expertise that we have. And then consumer education is very, very important. And then the value chain, as Mr. Parasamy mentioned, that blockchain is definitely very important because a lot of things which are not there, but people mention. But if we have something of that, and then the value of benefit in terms of carbon, in terms of sustainability that we are having on that, it should be tagged clearly, will be really beneficiary for it. There is one more thing, as Mr. Parasamy also mentioned in one of the discussions, that CSR funds are available to the world. CSR funds are utilized for the benefit of the people. CSR funds should be allowed to be utilized in buying sustainable products. That is also one take that at the corporate level should happen. And the foremost, it is important that all the big brands, big retailers who are the end decision makers should bring sustainable in their strategy. Sustainability in their strategy, they have been adopted already, but sustainability should have a different criteria of selection of sustainable products. This is my take.
Thank you so much, sir. And I thank all the panelists for sharing such great insights with us. Really, thank you for your time and agreeing to do this with us.